Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Healing Me First podcast, stories of breakthroughs, transformation, and healing. I am your host, Chef Bee, and we have the amazing, wonderful Frederica Tokponwey today as our
Hey,
guest. What's
everyone.
up, Freddie?
Hello, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me. Feeling blessed.
Girl, yes. Listen. Of course, I had to have you on my podcast. All right. I had to have you on my podcast. Y'all, let me tell you about Frederica.
Mhm.
Freddie, as all of us call her.
Yeah.
Freddie and I actually go way back. It was, I think, serendipity or destiny. Destiny is probably the better word that we would meet and we would align because our paths kept crossing, which is interesting how life is, right? You connect with people, you see them, boop boop,
Yeah.
and then like you just keep crossing paths. So many years ago, Freddie and I did a health coaching training through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and you know, she saw me online, started connecting, we started just texting each other back and forth, which was dope.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yes.
And then I was in New York. I was talking about something. I think it might have been essential oils or something. It was a training that I was offering in New York, in Brooklyn, at my mom's space. Freddie comes. She said,
Yep.
"You remember me?" I was like, "Of course I remember you." Boom.
Yes.
And then we find out that we have this one mutual friend. So the woman who I just like I say to people, in terms of this wellness center and this space, she's sort of been like the godmother of the space,
Yeah.
right? She's been the godmother of this space. They actually went to college together. They know each other, and I mean, boom, that's it.
Yes.
So, and we'll talk about other areas where Freddie and I synergize. But y'all, this woman has just been in my life for a reason,
Yeah.
okay? For a reason, for a purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to know you. You're amazing. So
Thank you
tell
so
folks
much.
about you. Tell the folks about you a little bit more about what you do, who you are, all the
Yeah,
things.
sure. Once again, I'm just so happy to be on your podcast. I love linking up with women who are doing like-minded things, who are doing transformative work. And my name is Frederica Tokponwey. Currently, I'm a retired police sergeant, so I'm living the retirement life. I'm just enjoying that. Um, yes, so I was a former police sergeant. I was a former athlete way back then. I had the opportunity to represent the United States, as a junior athlete, one of the nation's top junior athletes back in my time, which gave me a platform to be seen, to be acknowledged, had an opportunity to go to the University of Tennessee, where I further linked with other powerful women, and we'll get more into that. And then, just doing my journey of just transformation work, I just became just again, just during the time when I just was linking up with women, I just decided to, I wanted to do some more work. I wanted to be more authentic. So I started, writing and just really digging into my life. And I'm now the author. So
Yes.
we want to definitely talk about that a little bit. But yes, always doing transformative work with around health, around, the mindset and, so on and so forth. So yes, this is
It's,
why me and you together hit linked
listen,
up.
this is why me and you together, honey.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious because, I'll say for me, when I went to IIN, I
Mhm.
was going to holistic health coaching school. Someone actually saw me and thought that I would be a good fit for that work.
Mhm.
So she had gone through the program and was like, I really think that this would really benefit you because
Yes.
you're wanting to serve in that way, And so I'm just curious because I never asked you, why
Mhm.
did you decide to go to get trained as a health coach?
Yes, like I said, just being an athlete all of my life, I just always was in tune with just being healthy, just knowing all the different components that would make. I wanted to go a little further than just the basics, just the surface stuff. In my past job, I was an educator. I was an instructor in the police academy. So we always, had to keep the recruits in shape and so on and so forth. We was always talking about what things to eat. And again, I just wanted to go deeper just for myself. So, initially it was just more just self help, but then once I started getting it, the program was amazing. Once I
Mhm.
started getting into that program and just how they just dissect everything, how they dealt with your mental, your physical, and just everything, yeah, I just said, you know what, I can actually become this because I'm always doing any kind of work to help anybody. I always wanted to just be a conduit of, just transformative work. So yeah, I did start off wanting to be a health coach after that, and which I was for a period. But yeah, that's just always just been my thing, just always in the position to help someone, whether it's physically, emotionally, spiritually. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think based on some of the things that you've shared about your journey, I know this book, we can talk a little bit about this book, The Overcomer,
yes, overcome
The
unleashed.
Overcomer Unleashed. It's an opportunity for you to really share your message and really to share your story to others who might be going through something similar and see that there's some opportunities for them to heal and to transform.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about Overcomer
Sure,
and
this okay. Overcomer Unleashed. Like I said, I just released this a couple of weeks ago, and basically, just in a nutshell, it's a testament to the strength of the human spirit and a beacon of hope for anyone navigating their own path of healing and transformation. I had a lot of trauma in my life, childhood trauma in my life, which I suppressed because back then I didn't have the tools. We didn't have Me Too movements. We didn't have a lot of things available. So I had a lot of trauma that I just suppressed because I hid behind what was working for me, which I told you before. I was this one of the nation's top junior athletes. So everybody had me being a superwoman. I had the platform to be seen, to be acknowledged, representing the United States on that junior level, with traveling all over, different track meets, so on and so forth, and end up getting a full athletic scholarship, to the University of Tennessee. So, like I said, I had that platform to hide behind what I really was dealing with. So everybody said I was a superwoman. So I said, okay, that's what I'm going to be, a superwoman, which a lot of women tend to do that. This is what we do. We show up as superwoman. And a lot of times we're dealing with so much, well, we're dealing with, but we're not dealing with really a lot of the trauma that we're dealing with. So what happened was I just was going through life and it got to a point where I just felt so inauthentic. Like I said, I've always positioned myself to help other people. I was a social worker at one point, then I became a police officer. I was always doing transformative work, a health coach, so on and so forth. But I'm helping everybody, and everybody's like, man, just talking to you, you've just helped me so much. You helped me to see this, that, and the third. But the little girl in me was saying, what about me? What about me? When you going to help me, sort of thing. So, I just kept saying to myself, I just really need to start dealing with this stuff because it dealt with a lot of shame and a lot of trauma. But I said, I got to deal with this. So once I decided to, I just started doing the work. I started linking with like-minded women who were showing me how to push past that fear, how to confront shame. And girl, once I started just talking and just writing my story, just start writing, just writing, I started just changing. I started being transformative. I started being more bold. So I said, if I can do this kind of work and just start sharing, which I started doing, I started seeing other women around me becoming, coming out of the cocoon, being transformative themselves. So now we're all paying it forward. So I said, you know what? I have to continue to tell my story. So that's what I did. In this book, I just talk about just the different things I went through, how I just became, yes, I mean, we could still be strong, but I was being authentic. I was putting this thing like I got it all together. Really deep down inside, I think that's what happens. A lot of women show up like they have it all together because if you're smart, you're going to get these certain positions. You're going to be the president of such and such. You can be the director of such and such. You can be your teacher of whatever programs. But guess what? If you don't deal with your issues, you're going to bleed all over the place. Your issues are going to show up in all your relationships, professionally as well as personally. So again, I just wanted to just be authentic, and I just wanted to be a conduit for women, just to show them, listen, this is what I've been through. Maybe you've been through something worse, but guess what? When you face what you think you can't face, the life changes. Your life changes. And not only did my life change, but me being transformative, me just speaking about my shame and showing how I confronted my shame, it just opened up a world for so many other women to do the same.
So let me ask you a question. Like when you talk about that shame,
Mm-hmm.
book, like could you describe a little bit about what some of that shame was of what? What specifically were you hiding behind that you didn't really
Sure.
you were masking?
Yeah. So again, like I said, I was one of the nation's top junior athletes, and that was an amazing atmosphere for me to be in. It gave me a lot of opportunities, but within that atmosphere, within that arena, hit a predator, a sexual predator. So
Mm,
my track coach sexually abused me. and it went on for about 8 years because during that time, once my father suddenly, like again, it just dealt with a whole lot of stuff of grief, and I lost my parents at a very young age, and I just like became the ideal victim for this predator. I didn't have no parents to guide me. My father suddenly dies. This predator shows up in my life, but it's like he's like a father. He's this coach that's helping me to reach heights that I've never would have reached. He's showing up within my family as a brother to my siblings, as a support to my mother. You know what I'm saying? And then at the same time, my mother is dealing with just her illnesses and over those 4 years, the 4 years continuing with the 4 years that after once I started being abused, my mother is struggling with breast cancer. So I was dealing with so much as a child, and just being so ashamed that I got me, the athlete, I'm being abused, and I didn't know how to navigate that because, like I said, everybody had me being a superwoman.
Right.
So
You on
that
a
shame,
pedestal.
I just felt so ashamed that I was being abused and wasn't being authentic and wasn't able to tell anybody. And because I felt like at that time, in that immature mindset, I thought if I told my mother what I was going through, that she would die sooner than later. So I
Mm.
held that in, and I held in something and held on to trauma that what shouldn't have been mine. It should have been that my predator.
Right. So what was it like? Because you said you held that for 8 years. So what was the catalyst? What was the moment like that you felt you had where you're like, it's time to release this, you
Right.
know?
So, yeah, absolutely. So during this time, like again, when I'm in college, like I said, when I went to college, I had no parents, so I'm figuring it out. But again, I'm around other women who got the same opportunities that I had. They got scholarships too. Of course, my situation was different, but I said, you know what, I have to make this work. So as I'm going through college, even as difficult it was, the fact that I was just still pushing, the fact that I was making it, the fact that I was holding on to my scholarship and doing what I had to do to get my grades, I was actually transforming it. Even though I felt that I was cursed, I actually, something was just happening inside of me. You know what I mean? So I think towards the end of my college career, well, I did meet my future husband, and I just said, I don't want to live like this no more. I'm tired of being like this. I just felt so inauthentic. I was blaming every failure I blamed on because I felt like I was doing something wrong because you understand I went from a childhood to an adult. So I felt now that I'm an adult, is it my fault that this is still happening? But
Mm.
people don't realize that when a child is manipulated at such a young age, that mindset is different. You don't know how to remove out of that. You almost have allegiance to the individuals that's doing you harm.
Mm.
So I said enough is enough, and I initially, and I told my brother had a conversation with my brother. We ended up having a conversation with my coach, and we did stop it, the situation. I said I just wanted to stop. I didn't want him to go to jail because I just had so much trauma. I lost my father. I didn't want his kids to lose their parents. It was just a mess. The girls
Yeah.
that it was just a lot. He was the pillar of the community, and I didn't know how to unravel that. I felt that if I sent this man to jail, it's my fault. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why. Just for some reason, victims just take the onus on them. So when I first told my brother, yes, we stopped the abuse, but that's all I did was stop the abuse. I suppressed though what it
Yes.
did to me.
Yes.
Then later on, once I began doing the work, then I started dealing with more of that, what I became as a result of suppressing, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so interesting because there's so much in our community of sort of the sexual predator,
Oh,
sexual
yes.
abuse in our families, people who are near and dear to the families. And what's interesting is that when these things surface, you know, sometimes people don't even believe you, you
Yeah.
know. So I know there's some of that in there, and then just even how you navigate after, whether it's something that actually happens or something that, is tempted to happen, is how do
Mm-hmm.
you navigate, how do you deal with this person because they're in your environment, they're in your community, and that
Yeah.
is that trauma is just still there with you all the time. It's like you're facing it constantly,
Yes.
So how did you navigate that?
It's a work in progress. Like I said, this didn't come overnight. Like I said, I was like maybe 20 something, 20 years old, maybe 21 years old when I stopped initial abuse. Okay. So, but it took me a long time. So now I'm in my 50s, and like, I just started doing the work maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago. But it just takes a while. I am a Christian woman, so a lot of prayer, took place. I went to therapy again and just facing it. You can't change how people are going to respond, but your story is your story. But oftentimes, that's not something people are going to pick to choose. Like, I've been abused. Like, why are people going to say that it really didn't happen?
Right.
That's a lot to unravel. That's a lot. It's so much shame and stuff involved with that. And unfortunately, a lot of people are abused by people that often they know, that the family knows, that's close to you. And it can happen, and it's a tough situation. And I think because a lot of work hasn't been done with that, oftentimes victims become abusers themselves.
Yes.
They become abusers themselves because we're not doing. It's a cyclical cycle because nobody's doing the work. Because what do? How do you help someone that's saying I'm attracted to little babies and I abuse? It's not an environment for that. It's not an environment for a sexual predator. Really, they
Absolutely.
send them to jail, but really, jail doesn't really do anything for them. It keeps them away from people. But when they get out, guess what? Those urges are still there. It's a fighting. It's a fighting. It's a fighting. Even uphill battle for them. But as far as the victim, we just got to keep speaking up. We got to keep sharing. And I think the more we share, the more people, like when I share and when I speak and, in different audiences, when I tell you I have a line of 20 women who it happened to or ready to talk, and I want to say something too. So it empowers a nation. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to keep telling our story no matter how it is. But telling that story can be difficult. Now, telling that story may mean, again, that's when you got to do the hard work. It's not easy for everybody because it may involve grandpa. It may involve your father and your mother, and that may split the family. So you have all that onus on you. All God, because of I said something, the family separated. But hey, we have to do better and believe in these victims. We have to. It may mean that the child, the mother, the father has to be separated. Daddy got to go to jail. Grandpa can't no longer come over. Yeah, we have to start doing the hard, difficult work. We have to stop having Thanksgiving dinners, knowing that Uncle such and such is right there at the table, and everybody know what he did. We have to
Yeah.
expose him.
Listen.
We can do it in a loving way. We don't have to be. We can say,
Yes.
listen, we want to talk about this as a family. We're trying to deal with this way. We need for you to stop. You know what I'm saying? There's ways that you can deal with it. Yes, and sometimes yes, it may mean that he may have to go to jail. It all depends on the situation. But I think if we just kind of just deal with it as a problem in the family, let's start facing these things. You
Absolutely.
know.
No, that's good. And I remember Freddie, Oprah Winfrey said many years ago because one of her abusers, sexual abusers, was in her family.
Mhm.
And every year they go to some holiday dinner. I think it might have been Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, and she has to be around this person, and they were harming her. They were harming her. So she gave herself permission after many years. She's like, I just don't go to those. I just don't go there anymore. I don't go to those dinners because that person's gonna be there. It's a constant reminder of what this person has done to her.
Yeah,
And so you empower yourself by taking yourself out of that situation,
absolutely.
regardless what the family might think of you. And because what's interesting is they don't always believe you. They just don't always believe you. They
Oh,
take
answer.
sides. People take sides.
It's hard to believe. They don't want to believe you. They don't want to believe that their father's capable of doing that. They can't. And oftentimes these people are in the pillar community. You hear all the stories. Look at these. People can't say, no, not him, not her, not such and such. Look at all your priests that have been accused of doing
Yeah,
certain
that's
things.
true.
It's like, no, listen, it can happen to anybody. It can really happen to anybody. And it's unfortunate. It's some difficult situation. But why does the victim have to be the one to stay away from the family? I'm not the one that did something wrong.
Yeah,
So we just got to get to a point where we just at a point where we can really just face it. I'm talking about it. And whether there's going to be some people believe you and some people not. Oh, well, it's something that we just got to work to because one thing I can say, I heard a quote. I don't know exactly where I got it from or who I heard it from, but it says the power of your tormentor is in your silence.
mm,
Okay.
yes,
So if you don't talk about it,
yes,
if you know it, then they're going to continue doing what they're going to do.
yes,
You already got you quiet and keep doing what they got to do with you. Now you
yes,
go start somebody else. And
yes.
that's what happens.
It's so true. And the other piece of it is I think the more you engage in dialogue in what has happened, it's like it's healing. It's
Mhm.
that process feels like it can be part of the healing process because as you share what happened and folks come to you and tell you their stories of what happened, it's almost like you're healing together. It's like
Absolutely.
coaching work almost.
Absolutely.
They say heal the coach, heal the client. And
Oh,
so, in terms of what you talked about in regards to being authentic, It's like we as coaches, we have to put our stuff out there so that we can really be as true to the work as we can for our
Absolutely.
people that we're serving, right?
Very good point. Because if they know that you did the work, if they know like you're in the health coach, you do all your your cooking and stuff like that, they have to know that it works because now they see you as an example. Like this is how I eat. Look at me, so on and so forth. So yeah, we have to do the work. So if I'm talking about I want to be a coach, I want to be a conduit for women. Well, how are you going to do that? How are they going to know? Are you just going to show up like everything's Jim
Yeah.
Dinky, or are you going to really give them the story from where you came from?
Yeah.
Okay, you might like what you see now, but let me tell you where I was at before and how I became here.
Yes. Yes.
That's a journey people need to see. And I
Yeah.
think that's what the authenticity is really what changes people. Yeah, it's good to have the education and stuff like that. That's nice. That helps. But nothing like true, nothing like experience, nothing like, a true, authentic, transformative story, you
So
know?
when you say authentic, because I know you use that word, what's authenticity to you? How do you describe
Girl,
what is authenticity to you?
listen, just being like, again, being truthful, really, really, really saying that, really doing the work that you said you've done, really recovering from true work. Like there's a lot of people that's faking it to making it, unfortunately. And let me tell you something, and it's bad because you have a lot of people that need help. I've met a couple of them. If I'm trying to go to you for help and you're just trying to make a buck, that it's going to show. It's going to show. Okay, if you just reading a book and say, okay, I'm gonna just teach them these things, it shows. So are you authentically, really are you authentically a coach? Or are you authentically trying to really do the work as a transformative coach? Or you're just trying to just make a buck? You know what I mean? Did you do the program? Are you eating the way you're teaching? Are you know what I'm saying? Are you living the way you're teaching? If I say I'm a Christian, but how are you a Christian and I see you in the clubs all the time with it? You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Like,
I do see you.
yeah, be authentic. Like, are you really living the life that you really say projecting that you are? Are you the person that you want people to transform to be? Did you do the work to become that?
Yeah.
There's a
And
lot
I
of people.
think we all have to do that kind of wrestling. We have to ask ourselves those questions, and just really think about digging deep. I love that you said dig deep.
Yeah.
So you have a coach, you have someone that you're working with to really help you to go and dig deep. Because in order for us to do the work of coaching or any of these things, giving or serving in this way, it's like mandatory. It helps you to go to another level with your clients when you're going to that level, that next level, and elevating for yourself. It's an
Yes.
absolute must that we have to do.
Yeah, I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we think we could do everything. We can't, you
Mm.
know. Like I said, okay, I'm skill. I have a skill set in as an author, writing books as a speaker. But again, I come to you when I need, help as far as my health. I need a health coach. I need a therapist. I have a pastor. So on and so forth. We try to do too much as entrepreneurs. We need to know what we can and what work should we put out to have somebody assist us in growing, and what work can we do. I think we try to do too much sometimes as entrepreneurs because we don't want to invest in ourselves. Investing in yourself is getting help.
I love
So
it.
we have to know when to receive help. And again, like I'm about being transformative work, and transformative work to me is taking care of my mind, my body, my spirit, my
Yes.
health, all that. That's
Yes.
what makes me become the person I am today.
I was just thinking about some of the other work that we've done together, and that's like during the pandemic,
Ugh,
you know,
great times.
great times, great times. During the pandemic, Freddie, among many other folks, reached out and was like, look, I need to get some of these recipes under my belt. I'm like stuck in the house. I can't go nowhere. What do I do? I can't go out and eat. Teach me how to cook. And so
Yes.
we started our virtual meal prep culinary program. It was not just meal prepping, that was one component of it, but our culinary program. And Freddie was one of my star students.
I was serious about getting that work in.
Listen, I remember, and then even when everyone was graduating, and we were like, all right, y'all got to do these recipes, she was calling me, all right. I'm like, wait, everybody got serious, because they was trying to get their certificate.
Right.
So I love that you talked about just doing the mental work and then the spiritual work as well as for the body. So talk a little bit about some of the things that you're doing now that you're retired, you know, to
Like I
really
said,
just sort of fortify those different parts of yourself, you know.
first I want to just go back. When I tell you that program was everything, those who haven't done it, you better jump on this course. I think you're offering it now, a course similar to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we started
The
back.
course was
That's
so
right.
well put together. I mean, I just learned so much. Just like you said, it was just the way you just taught us everything. You explained everything as far as just the herbs, the ingredients we were using, the recipes that we were using. It was just so transformative to learn because I think a lot of people will eat better if they knew
Yeah.
exactly what to do. And the way you taught it to us in such elementary, it was just like an elementary steps, so that we can grasp just how to make, ways that we can use the nuts to make the meat. Like that sticks with me. Like, girl, you can't tell me I be making a pot of ground turkey with my cashew. What? My chopped up walnuts or girl, please. So the way you just stuck with me, and again, just so I just tried. I kind of got a little bit away from it. I still do some of my same uh some of my favorite recipes that I know, but again, life just happens, and as I just got old, I started having back issues and just all kind of stuff. I had heart issues and so on and so forth, and just being stagnant because of my back, I couldn't move around as much as I used to. So then, as a result of that, my cholesterol levels was trying to raise. And I'm like, but what am I doing wrong? I don't eat, I eat pretty decent. I'm not eating the things they say, I don't do meats and stuff like that. I'm not doing, a whole lot of butter and all the bad stuff. But then when I really dug into it, I started just, understanding it was more than just meats and ice cream and so on and so forth. I had to be careful with the cashews, the amount of cashews. I had to be careful with certain things. But that's what me doing the work. Because when my cholesterol levels were elevated, the first thing the doctor wanted to do was put me on medication. I'm like, wait, you didn't even ask me what I'm
Right,
eating, what's going on, so on and so
right.
forth. So I just felt like, wait a minute, no, I know I wasn't doing the best, but my diet wasn't the best. So I said, let me push back. So I began just doing the research again, start implementing those vegan options, seeing what even sometimes with vegan, there's junk food and vegan, veganism, whatever, however you say it. There's a lot of junk food too, and even in that, so you have to be careful with that. But I just started just making sure, what was working for me. So I had to be careful with that my intake of, just certain things, seafood or vegan, I'm not vegan, like I said, cashews. I had to be careful with, butters, things like that you wouldn't really think would really harm you. It was just little things I had to tweak for my blood type. So what's something that might have triggered somebody else, it was triggering me, and it was causing my cholesterol levels to go up. So I just had to really just do some personal work and just see what works for Frederica, because it's not a one all for everybody. But yeah, that just devastated me that my cholesterol levels are high. And I reached out to you a couple of times. What can I
Yeah.
do? And, you told me start drinking that celery juice, so I was just implementing things like that. And like I said, I'm being a little bit more active, but that was a whole journey because I had back surgery, and since
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a lot, coming from someone who was this athlete to someone, who was constantly, I was an
Yeah.
instructor, I was working out twice a day, so on and so forth, to constantly to now to a point where I'm just basically walking. I got to be careful what I do, can't bend over, I got to be, I do a lot more like Pilates and things like that. But that was a big mental shift for me.
Yes.
Oh,
Girl. But it goes back to the book, The Overcomer,
yeah.
The Overcomer. And I think that that is challenging for us when we are used to being active earlier in our life, particularly you as an athlete, and then things start changing in your body, and then you can't do all of the things that you used to, or it just looks different. I think the important piece is that you have to still move. You still got to try. You still got to fight. You still got to keep going. That's the overcomer
Yeah.
spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like just all of it. You
Yeah.
still gotta keep flowing and moving regardless of what's happening. So
You're so right about that. And when I tell people that's dealing with stuff, whether it's grief, as I dealt with a lot of grief as well, I said, take it 1 second, break it down 1 second at a time, then 1 minute at a time, then 1 hour at a time, then 1 day at a time. Life is going to happen. But sometimes, we don't realize it when we're going through something. That's where the gems are. You
yeah,
know, nobody wants to go through pain and hurt, but that's where your gems are. And honestly, there's an upside to adversity. but we don't want to pick that. But guess what? If everything went through life, if everything just was Jim Dandy for us, everything was just always flowing, we wouldn't appreciate half the stuff. We wouldn't have nothing to work forward to. So what I do now is like I just kind of say, oh, when things are, because as long as we live, we're going to have some challenging life because that's how we grow. I just ask God, okay, what do I need to learn in this? Because this is difficult and I don't want to go through this no more. Why am I experiencing this? Is this something I'm doing? Is this something I'm seeing? Because also life has a way of teaching you, you need to still deal with something else. You
Yeah.
know, there was a lot like now that I've wrote this book and became so transformative and really told a lot of stuff that I was ashamed of. So now I'm kind of feeling like exposed, right? I'm emotionally exposed. I kind of almost feel like naked, like I'm naked.
Right,
Now
right.
that's a new thing. Okay. So now I'm like, okay, let's do some more work. So now I gotta dig into some more. What are you feeling? What is this, that, and the third? Let's chop this, let's break that down. So
Mhm.
it's just every time you're going through life and you're facing something, you just got to constantly work on that. Because again, if you want to show up authentically, you got to deal with the thing. You got to deal with it. We always quick to say, "Oh, it's that person. Oh,
Yes.
it's this situation." Why are you responding the way of it? Whether it's that person or not, why are you responding? You need to dig deep in and say, "Why am I responding that way in this situation towards that person?" Whether they wrong or not, whether they could be wrong because we can't. Life is not going to adjust for us. We got to put ourselves in a position that we can handle life any way it comes because we're going to be dealing with our emotional state, our mental state, our spiritual state. So every circumstance that we face, we're going to have to say, wow, why did that bother me? I need
Yes.
to dig into that a little bit more. Why is she tricking me when she walked in the room? Why I'm feeling away when I'm dealing with this type of you know what I mean?
Yep. No, that's good. I was gonna ask you, like, I know that the journey has not ended,
Right.
but I would ask, with all that you've unpacked, through the work that you've done, what's one of the most impactful things or powerful things that you've learned about yourself in doing this work?
You know what? The main thing was like just being transformative, like just saying, just facing really my traumas with those fears. What I ain't gonna say I identify fears to be a certain way. I thought, oh my God, if I say this, I had it all laid out because I'm a fortune teller. If I say this is going to happen, and that never happened. So basically, when I decided just to face whatever my fears, or that other person, that little girl in me that was telling me don't do this, or the girl in the little girl in me that was empowering me. Once I decided just to do the work, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't bad as I guess it's hard work, but the outcome, what I thought it was going to be, wasn't that. And my life, I'm when I tell you, it was like such a big. When they tell you the world is off your shoulder, the world is literally off my shoulder. And we don't realize that we hold so much in. We're sick because of what we're holding in. And I just think once I did that work, once I just started facing my fears, once I started dealing with the trauma and what I identified as whatever, it wasn't that. It was like a big bully in front of me, but once I faced the bully, he wasn't nothing.
Um,
Just helped me now to just live. You just feel so much freer. And then you honestly see yourself just showing up differently in a lot of different situations because you did the transformative work. You're like, okay, shame. My whole life was shame, way back. I lived in shame for so long. So
exactly.
now that I broke that, please, girl, I show up. Okay, whatever. It doesn't even matter. I mean, I have feelings. I'm a human. But at the end of the day, people's opinion doesn't decide doesn't determine who I am. That's your opinion. You have the right to have it. But now I step bolder, I'm more empowered, I'm inspired, and I have the story to back it up. So I encourage, now I can encourage others to do it because how it worked for me, how it had me, giving me an opportunity to show up, a certain way.
Let me tell you, my brother, he and I had a conversation some time ago about fear. And I love the acronym that he spin to kind of just shift how we look at fear. He says, face everything and rise.
Yep.
And I love that,
Yep.
because
Yep.
it's like, it's going to be there. But once you go past it, once you move past it, it's like, oh my gosh, this is what I was nervous about. And they also say that fear is excitement. The difference is excitement is you having some kind of fear because it is scary, whatever it is, but you're actually breathing through it. Fear is
Absolutely.
like you're scared stiff, you know?
Yeah.
So fear and excitement actually occupy the same space. One is just where you're actually breathing through it and moving through it. So
Hmm.
I love this idea of facing everything and rising as another way of thinking about fear, you know?
I love that interpretation. Another one I heard was fear is false evidence appearing real. Like I
Ooh,
said, we
yes.
with this, we assume that this outcome is going to be, and a lot of times it's not. We stop our own self. We're our worst enemies,
Mhm.
and we the ones that set the hurdles up in our lives because of our thinking, because of our mindset. How do
Yeah.
you know it's going to be that way? How you know if you go to that through that door that this is going to be there? Oftentimes we don't realize what life is. It's a faith walk. Look how, just think about when we go to the grocery store and you have those automatic doors. They look closed in front of you, right? But when we continue to keep walking, guess what? They open up. And that's how life is. That's how life is. It's a faith walk. We have to do the work. We don't know what's going to happen, but we got to believe as long as we're doing the work, as long as we're doing what's necessary to just present ourselves a certain way, the doors are going to open up for us. And the doors that don't open for us, maybe that's not the way we should go. And we have to be comfortable. Like one thing I pray, I say, God, again, like life happens, and sometimes we're not comfortable in the situations we're in. So I said, God, just give me the peace, just give me the strength to bear what I need, what I'm being with. You know what I mean? We so quick to say, change it, do this, give me that. We might not be ready for that time. You know what I mean? So
No, I think that's so beautiful. I mean, I just really appreciate that you're an example of it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter what time, like the time is now for you to really do that self-work, that self-healing, and to really examine deeply the things that you need to work on and be better at with yourself and how you can elevate yourself. Some folks are like, oh, I'm too old for that. I'm too this, I'm too that. It is never too old. And I just love that, post retirement, you're just finding this whole new life post retirement. You're just like,
not
you're
why not?
shining like a little superstar.
Yeah, I'm trying. Listen, I just want to live life again. I just appreciate just what all the other women who've helped me. I didn't do this by myself. They said to take a nation. Listen, it took a lot of women to help me get to where I'm at now, and I'm still doing a lot of work. But again, there's a lot of women out there who whatever, because of life, because of family obligations and stuff, they didn't live a lot of their childhood dreams. You can still do it. You can still do, girl.
Still
I be
do it.
going out there taking dancing classes,
Yes.
the whole recital, what I'm saying, just doing what
Yes.
they
It's
want,
so true.
they have on their bucket list, right? That bucket list. I just encourage anyone, whatever you want to do it.
Yeah.
Just try it
You just,
out.
you just have to
Whatever
have
you
courage
want
to
to
do
just
it.
do
I
it.
love
Doesn't matter
that.
how old you are. And I just choose to live my life, my retirement, just doing that, just being all I can be, linking up with other women, who's doing the work. Because that's what we have to do. We have to just help each other and, link up arm by arm, shoulder by shoulder, and just help each other out. Because
Hmm.
a lot of women are hurting because they don't have the tools to help them just navigate what they're going through. And once they really just kind of start navigating, yes, it's hard work, but you become so much different. You will love that new person, that authentic individual.
Oh, yeah. So, what I want to ask is this: what is one of the biggest things that you feel you've done so far on your healing journey?
Oh my God. Just me again, confronting that shame, confronting that fear. Just conquering that was huge for me. It just unlocked a new person that can really just can help shift the generation. You know, so yeah, just doing that transformative work I said was huge for me. Facing those fears because as long as life happens, we're gonna always have something in front of us, and that little girl's always still screaming to be in charge because she was in charge for a long time.
Mm,
So it's constantly doing the work, but now I have the tools and the mindset to
mm.
face pretty much anything. Not to say that it's easy, but I guess me doing that hard work, me doing that transformative work, me facing my fears and the shame, girl.
Nobody can tell you nothing.
I mean, yes, and you can say it, but I'm still gonna do what I gotta do. I'm still gonna do the work,
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. I'm so proud of you.
thank you.
And
I'm proud of
I
you.
didn't know. I mean, I wouldn't have known that you had gone through all the things that you have gone through, and definitely just carrying yourself with such regalness and pride and beauty, and we just never know what's underneath those layers. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful for you sharing your story. Y'all better get that book.
Listen,
Split
overcome
up, boo.
unleashed, persevering beyond the myth of a super,
Overcomer Unleashed. Let her look.
persevering beyond the myth
And listen,
of a
that book
superwoman.
is a page turner. You get
Yeah,
that book, you probably finish in like a day. It's
absolutely.
one of them. It's
That's
one of
like
them books.
it's on Amazon. If you want to follow me, I'm at I am Frederica with the two A's on Instagram. But yes, I just like, I just again I just appreciate what everybody done for me. So I want to do, be a conduit for other women.
Absolutely. So what's coming up next for you? You have anything happening soon that you want people to
Um,
know about?
well, I've been going through,
Podcasts or
sure,
anything?
I've been doing my books. Like I said, I've been going through selling my books, doing a few book tours. I'm probably going to start doing some speaking engagements. Um, I'm probably going to do season 2 for my podcast called "Debunking the Myth of a Superwoman."
I love that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm just taking it day by day, just really enjoying the moment. Like I said, writing this book was a huge, huge hurdle for me. So the fact that I, got over it, and I just want to, enjoy this moment, and I just love the feedback that I'm getting, that is helping a lot of people and that is encouraging them. And I encourage everyone out there, start writing your story. We all have something to share. Don't
Yes.
worry about being grammatically correct. Just start writing initially now. That's what I did. I started writing like in 2018. Just start write. Don't worry about commas. Don't worry about being grammatically correct. And once you've written all you can, write that you thought of that you wanted to share, then you figure out, okay, now what's my next step? How do I find an editor, so on and so forth? Because one thing I can say is that you want to be, when you present your book or you present you whatever you speaking, you want to speak and present your material from a place that you're healed. You don't
Mm,
want to be angry because you're gonna project the wrong message. So
mm,
I definitely say I feel like everybody has a story, everybody has something to share, and somebody's waiting to hear your story. You
yes.
know, definitely, I encourage you. Right. Okay,
All right,
author,
girl, let's go.
let's go out there. Y'all can do it. Can't wait to read your story. But yes,
Yes,
definitely
that's
doing that.
awesome. Tell me again about the podcast. Season 2 is coming.
Yeah, it's called to see a season 2 will be coming up soon. It's called Debunking the Myth of a Superwoman. Debunking
Yes,
the Myth of a Superwoman. Because again, like I said, we doing it now. Don't think that we do, especially black women. We are doing it, child.
we're
We are,
doing the thing. Yes.
but a lot of us are still dealing with a lot of trauma.
Yep.
And so I just want to just present a platform where we can just unravel that, because we're looking up to people and so on and so forth. So I'm going to start doing a call to for my guests, to who to seeking guests that are showing up as a superwoman or has showed up as a superwoman. What do they do to what transformative work they did to really be authentic in that? We can be superwoman. That's fine. We can show up, strong as up, but let's really make sure that we are not hiding behind something, that we're really not dealing with anything. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's good. And I'll add this. I was talking to one of my therapist friends, and she talked about trauma-informed decisions.
Yes.
So you are making decisions while steeped in your trauma, so you're making poor decisions moving forward. You're not, you're making it worse. You, for lack of better words, you're making it worse because you're still in the trauma. You're still reliving and living the story of the trauma. And as a result, you're making trauma-filled or trauma-informed decisions.
Absolutely. You know what?
So,
I mentioned that in season 1 of Debunking the Myth of a Superwoman. I have a daughter. And I raised my daughter thinking, oh, I can't let her see me cry. I just gotta always show up a certain way from her. But not only until her adult life did she tell me, I took away her agency to, her emotions. She felt weird when she was emotional and sad and so on and so forth. So here I'm thinking I was supposed to show up this way, and I didn't realize I was affecting her. So now we did the work together, and now we share our thoughts. I tell her when I'm vulnerable and why. So here I'm thinking I was doing something good for her, and when I was really damaging her. So
yeah.
yeah, that's something that I talked about. That if y'all want to go check out that episode, how I
Yeah,
felt.
we're gonna put all of that in the show notes, Frederica. We're gonna
Yeah,
get all of that
definitely.
in there. All right. Also, tell people how they can connect to you. We know the book is on Amazon.
Yeah.
What's your website so they can
Website is FredericaTokponwey.com. So you can put that as just my name, FredericaTokponwey.com. It has a link to the books. It also has a link to my podcast as well. I'm on Instagram as Frederica Tokponwey. I'm on Facebook as it's Frederica Tokponwey, and I'm on Instagram as I am Frederica with two A's.
right? I love it. Girl, thank you so much for coming
Thank
through.
you. Can't wait to start our classes.
I know, girl. I'm excited, y'all. Look, let me tell you, before we leave, you guys can connect with Chef Bee, CHEFBEE, be empowered, energized, and engaged. That's 3 E's.com. You can go there. You can check out our meal prep program. You know, we offer a weekly meal prep, but then we just started doing meal prep Sundays where we have these beautiful in-person hands-on cooking classes. And then we also have the Transform and Thrive culinary program, which is what Frederic was talking about, where we cook live once a month virtually so that folks can stay connected. You know, here's the thing, like the healing is in the food. The healing is within you and your hands. And so it's cool to outsource some of these things, right? Like we talked about earlier, you mentioned we're doing too much. But I do still think from a medicinal medicine standpoint, we need to put our hands on our food. We need to be the person that is really curating what happens in the kitchen periodically. And so that's one of the reasons why we brought these back. So we have meal prep Sundays. If you're in Atlanta, you can come and cook with me the first and the last Sunday of the month. You can cook virtual with me, transform and thrive with plant-based foods. And then y'all, if y'all still ain't ready for all of that and you just want meals, we got essential meals to go. So just go to chefb.com. Everything is
Yes.
right there. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, so guys, we're so grateful that you guys tuned in today. Thank you so much, Frederica. Kisses and hugs to you. Love you. Straight from New York, from the Brooklyn. I say the Brooklyn, straight from the Brooklyn. And so, yes, we are excited about you coming down here, doing
Yes,
your
can't
book
wait.
tour and sharing your message of the Overcomer Unleashed with
Yeah.
us.
Yes, can't wait. Thank you so much for having me. Continue to doing the work. I love you so much.
Mwah. All right, y'all. Take care and have an amazing day. Mwah, mwah, mwah.